And we're back. Week 9, Wilson time. Oh,
Week
yeah,
nine,
brothers. We have come this far, yet nothing's resolved.
except for the fact that we know there's a true number one. Oh.
Yeah, congrats, my boy. New number 1 up there. We'll see how long that stays. But it is nice to see somebody putting up a decent average amount of points actually be the number 1. Little boner B. Johns finally slipping down. It was only a matter of time till it caught up to him. I
Yeah,
mean, he couldn't.
I think we talked about that earlier in the year when he was like 4-0 or something like that, and it's just sooner or later the lack of points was going to affect him.
Well, yeah, it was, we went over that segment a couple weeks ago talking about the strength of schedule going forward, and B. John's played his easiest part of his schedule, and now he's starting to go into his hard part, and you just got to score points, buddy. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's not doing him any service either. I have him in another league, and he has been extremely frustrating this year.
Yeah,
But
besides
now,
week one, basically nothing.
yeah, I mean, honestly, and there's a little Cooper Cup too, a little bit banged up. But
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
what a week it was. Very much enjoyed shitting on Calvin. Always a pleasure. And that was also with no tight end. I'm so glad I made that trade with COD just to have Darren Waller do absolutely nothing for me. It's like, how annoying is it? Oh man. Yeah, that was just a product too. It's not like I intentionally did that. It's just, we had our annual Halloween party on Saturday night, and just a old Dilly Bob here had one too many drinks and woke up too late and saw, oh, no Darren Waller. But like it mattered.
Isn't his like a hamstring thing?
Yeah, he's been dealing with the hammy, which
Yeah.
is
Well, we've seen how Keenan Allen has been all year with that.
the hammies, man. They just keep coming back. They linger, bunch of lingerers. But I don't
True.
know. It's weird too. He's been a limited participant in practice. Like he was practicing all last week, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope, we're holding him out again. So
It's all
maybe it's a
right.
good thing. Raiders suck. I'd rather him not go out there, and I mean they didn't score any points anyways, but maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need Darren Waller on the field. I don't know.
Possibly. It's the James Conner effect, just limited participant for weeks on end, just doesn't play. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's so much fun. So much fun to watch. Anyways, yeah, eventful week. A lot of scoring last week. Well, we had one, two, three, four, five, 6 teams put up over 100 points.
It was one of the higher
Pretty,
scoring weeks this year.
pretty good.
There was a lot of things that happened too. A lot of shifts in the rankings here. I moved up uh, because Cleaner and Jaden both lost last week, and so did B Johns. And then I obviously beat Trone, which dropped him down significantly. So fortunately, I had to hand him that loss and put him down to that tier two. But yeah, and then everything down at the bottoms kind of stayed pretty similar. It's just everything in the middle and the top kind of shifted a little bit this week.
Yeah, I mean, I moved up one spot to number 8. Oh man, Derek's cart just barely squeaking out that win. I was talking so much shit to Tanner because I was like, man, if you lose, because those points for, man, I mean, that's what we keep talking about, right? It's like, got to put up the points for those tiebreakers. And I was just salivating at the fact that I was going to leapfrog him because he was shit on me a couple weeks ago when I was 1-4. And he's like, I'm not taking advice from a 1-4 team. Yeah, bud, you better pay close attention.
Yeah, one thing I would say with Diz is, and he's obviously not been in this league for more than 8 weeks now, but it's just there's a lot of ground he and COD have to make up, especially in the points department when it comes down to at the very end of the year. If it gets, because I know like last year it was myself and I think Garrett and somebody else right around that same region. The tiebreaker was points. I scored more points than Garrett last year, so I leapfrogged him into that eighth seed, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's true. I remember that. It's and especially this year with everybody kind of just muddled up and trying to clinch those last couple of spots. I mean, the points for are going to be huge.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. I mean, Nut was doing his predictions in the pod there, and it's like, I don't think he's far off. And man, it is so hard to decipher what's going to happen, especially with all these bye weeks. I mean, I know my team's about to go through some bye week hells, and there's a couple other teams out there. I was looking at the matchups, and it's like there's teams out there that, I mean, I think Alec right now has 2 open bench spots. I mean, it's just like, there's so much chaos happening right now. I can't even tell like the actual projections because people don't have their lineup set because it's like nobody knows who they're going to start. I think there's like 6 teams on bye this week.
Yeah, Brian literally doesn't have a tight end that he can start this week on his team so far, and it was kind of funny because obviously Nut and I made a little deal last night and regarding a tight end, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we were just kind of talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm looking at the waivers, and it's like a bunch of people that you don't even know, or just like Madden, like creating your own tight end in Madden or whatever, and just like throwing somebody in there, like who do you even start at this point?" And so yeah, like I literally look at some of these teams and bye weeks, but also just the lack of depth in a lot of teams too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can attest to that. My bench right now, if you look at it, it's purely buys, and everybody's either just on IR, injured, or having problems with their head coach and won't play on the team. So, though apparently Cam Akers and Sean McVay have been talking and they're trying to work it out. I saw this earlier and it was actually kind of frustrating that the Rams rejected multiple trades for Cam Akers and they're hoping to come to a resolution where he plays again for the team. But then after McVay said that, he also said, yeah, he can still also be waived. I'm like, dude, make up your fucking mind.
Yeah. Well, I heard that, yeah, the whole thing was really had to do with if they couldn't trade him, they just release him.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going back and forth on it so much. I
Yeah,
don't
for
get
sure.
it. I mean,
Regardless, moral of the story here is everybody's teams are hurting beside the couple in the league right now that don't have buys that are affecting them too much.
yeah, buys are coming at a crucial time too, as we get closer to the playoffs. I mean, this week is going to be a real interesting one, especially with us coming up to the trade deadline. There's a couple teams that, and we'll kind of get into this later, but there's a couple teams I could see if they lose this week, maybe it's time to start blowing it up. But it's hard. It's hard to decipher again what's going to happen because so you get that victory this week. It's just there's got to be some teams that might maybe looking at themselves and going, okay, do I have enough? It's kind of and Nut alluded to this in the pod league. Yes, you want to make the playoffs, but you don't want to just make the playoffs, right? Like the whole goal is to win championship. So there's got to be some teams out there like, yeah, maybe I could squeak into the playoffs, but do I have a complete like enough of a team to be able to actually win it all? And I'm looking at some teams out there that probably will make the playoffs, but you know you either got to make a move or you're just gonna get shit on. There's nothing worse when you make the playoffs and you just get absolutely railed in that first round. It's like,
Yeah, that welcome to my life last year. But I
yeah, but
also
you could
ended
have
up with
expected it, right? It's like you didn't have
yeah.
a great squad. I don't think you were anticipating making the playoffs. You just happened to do
No,
it.
true. Nut, there's still hope for you, my boy.
Yeah, not surprisingly has been putting up some points and just I mean the battle of attrition that man has had with his players and the fact that he was able to put up what like 113 points, 15 something like that last week. I mean, good on Nut. Imagine
Yeah,
if
I say him and Crapbag. Crapbag put up a decent amount of points last week too.
it's just Crapbag can't seal the deal. Dude is just muddied with shit at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I
Oh
say
and 8.
I think
We haven't
there
seen this in a long time. A long, long time.
wasn't it. Who was the last person that did that? Was it B Johns?
Could have been B. Johns. I'm also going back to like the Tucker days. I mean, it's a group that you want to be nowhere near. And
Yeah.
it's just, especially for somebody like Gare, who at one point we had on this pinnacle of just championship god or championship fantasy football god, always at the top, near the top, to one of the worst teams we've ever seen.
Yeah. No, it's you know, it's like the end of an era, but it makes me happy. So,
Yes, yes, it does.
but at the same
Um,
time, yeah, I think we should go into our little matchups at this point.
yeah, let's do it. So I'll start you off, Red. You got Nut versus Brian this week. Who you got?
I'm taking Nut in this one just based off the fact that I just don't like a lot of what's going on with Scheimer's team. I already alluded to the fact that he doesn't have a tight end. There's a lot of boomer bust players on here. Gabriel Davis, Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, if you trust them to that point, like, I don't know, the whole Isaiah Pacheco thing. Like, you traded away Tyreek Hill for a little a decent amount of draft cash, not a ton, but you got Isaiah Pacheco, and there's like this up and coming person, this player. However, I don't see where it gets any better for Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's stuck in that little three-headed monster. So, I just look at Nuts team. Justin Fields has been doing very well. I think Travis Etienne, he's going to continue to eat. Deontay Foreman looked like a beast last week. Chris Olave. There's a lot of things to like about this team. I don't think this is like going to be the battle of beasts or anything like that. But I think Nut will put up a little bit more points and he'll take the W this week.
Yeah, the Deontay Foreman thing is just blowing my mind. So irritated that I dropped him. I should have just kept him as that fucking handcuff. But man, has he been killing it? Um,
Uh, yeah,
yeah,
I say. But then your first matchup this week is Cal versus Cody.
yeah. So I think it's just gonna be a landslide against Cody. I think Calvin takes it pretty easy, and I mean, really, it comes down to Najee and Chubb being on bye. I mean, COD just doesn't have the depth to be able to make up for that. I honestly don't even know who, like right now, COD has one running back in. He doesn't even have another running back on his bench. He's right, and his only running back he's starting is Caleb Huntley. So I just don't know where the points are going to come in for COD. Thielen, I mean, shit, they just got Hawkinson. Like, I don't know what that's going to do to him. Love me some Jacoby Myers, but dude, that team, he's getting hit by so hard this week. It's just there's no way. Cal just made the trade for Devontae Adams, so it's too much. Adams, Godwin, Kirk, Kyle Pitts finally looks like he's starting to do some stuff out there. And then you got the business hound. I mean, yeah, I don't see it being close. I'm going
Yeah,
Cal.
I just don't see COD putting up like relatively decent numbers at all. Like I think it's gonna be Calvin's gonna get a pretty easy matchup this week.
So annoying. COD's Chubb went fully soft.
Well,
God.
we kind of talked about it though. Like, he is the Lord and Commander of that team, and he literally he's off. Like, that's
He's the
like
only reason why COD won last week. I
it's
mean,
like 60% of his scoring at this point of the year for his positional players. So it's gone. You're losing half your team.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just classic COD. The dude just never plans for his weeks like accordingly. I mean, you knew you had all the buys coming up, COD. You didn't do anything. Like, and you spent all
No
your fab.
moves.
I mean, you spent all of his fab too, way early on. So, like, I just, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say about COD's team.
He
He's
need,
literally
he needs to
replicate.
liquidate. He
Yeah,
needs he needs to make a move. Like, he made all these little moves, right? The Thielen. He got Michael Thomas, who big surprise. He's been out for like 4 weeks or whatever, you know. Like he made all these little moves and stuff, but it's like Jacoby Myers, but that's like not gonna do it. Like these are people that are like, you know, for like teams like you and myself. Let's just use it as an example. You have Mike Evans, you have C.D. Lamb, you have Jamar Chase. These are good players as fill-ins for their bye weeks. I have, you know, Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins. I would utilize these players that he's starting on a weekly basis as a bye week fill in.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, I know. I mean, it's the wide receivers situation for COD has been complete trash the entire year. And the fact that he still has the same core wide receivers he's been rocking blows my mind that he's even got the record he has. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for Chubb, the dude would be probably like next to Nut. And Nut, I
He'd be,
mean, it's just
he'd be
crazy.
crapback 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, really though. Because Nut, I mean, yeah, he's had to deal with the injuries, but the dude at least has had good players that have actually like more. He's more well rounded. COD's literally just been relying on one person and one person only, and it's been fucking Chubb.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, we'll dive into what happens after this week
All
after we pick our
right.
match.
Sorry, COD.
But yeah, your team sucks. COD, you're literally staring down the barrel of a Sacco once again. Blows my mind that we're talking about this again. All right, Red. Up next for you, you got Jaden versus Jesse. So two of the highest point scorers. Who you got?
Yeah. I think this week I'm going I'm going with Jaden on this one. Uh, you know, you never count out Jesse. Like, probably put up like close to 100 points, but Jaden, he's right up there with them with the points scored. Jaden just has a full squad this week. Just, you know, nobody's on bye besides Latavius Murray, but you weren't going to start him anyways. And, you know, Tyler Boyd steps up in that role a little bit higher with Jamar Chase. You got Jalen Hurts back, Dallas Goedert's back from bye, things like that. It's just, you know, I think that this is going to be a high scoring matchup, but I think Jaden just has all his hogs in there, and Jesse has his hogs in there as well. But there's just a couple question marks: Devin Duvernay, you know, Rashawn White, uh, you know, Khalil Herbert. Even Khalil Herbert's looked good, he's still splitting carries with David Montgomery. Um, I just think full hogs versus a team where, you know, you're going to have to rely on a couple people going big games. And if they don't put those big games, it's going to be tough. Also, his matchups this week are pretty tough compared to Jaden's as well. So I'm going Jaden.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm looking at Jesse's matchups. They're not fun. Um, yeah, it's kind of weird to look at Jesse's team a little bit because it feels like he had such like hogs from before, like James Robinson. I don't really know what's going to happen with that. You know, I know he's getting eased into that offense, but you know, what are they going to be like a split backfield again? And Jahan Dawson's falling off. I mean, there was a lot. Is like, and we talked about this with Jesse's team before. It's the touchdown regression, right? I mean, he was putting up
Yeah.
so many TDs, and eventually, and they were coming from players like Lazard, Dotson, and James Robinson. You know, a lot of them is just like it had to have fallen off at some point. Finally, starting to catch up to him, but the bad man prevails, huh?
I think so.
All right.
Now, if we go to your next matchup, you got Gare versus Trone.
Oh yes, good old crappy bag. Yeah, same old song and dance. Yeah, I mean, Trone gets it. Crap bag keeps staying crappy. I just don't see again where there's a world where Garrett wins this matchup.
Yeah.
DJ Moore's look better. Kamara's look great. But it's just outside of that, what is there? You know what I
I just
mean?
I look at this. How is Aaron Rodgers projected almost 20 points? The dude hasn't even surpassed like 16 this year.
I think it's because of Detroit, but I don't really know, you know. I think
I
it's one of
guess.
those. It's a name value thing. I've looked at Rogers' projections, and they're always relatively higher than what he's been putting up. And I think it's just literally because they, like, oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's gonna make some magic happen.
Yeah.
Dude's out of
I think
magic. Packers
I
are
think
trash.
even yeah, even with Trone's team, like Swift is missing practice again. Keenan Allen missing practice again. Like even if he doesn't start them, I still think that Crab Bag has a hard time pulling this one out. So
Yeah,
yeah, it
did you
makes sense
see
for Deal Ben.
Dan Campbell said that they gave DeAndre Swift one too many carries in that last game. They wish they would have given one less carry. Dude had five carries the entire game. So I was like, okay, so what, four? Four, is the magic number.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's kind of
tough.
questionable because I mean Keenan Allen, he might not even play this week. I just saw that earlier. Still got
Again, yep.
Debo, still got Debo out, but the nice part for Trone is that even if that does happen, he's got Drake London he can put in, got Gibson he can put in there. I think Trone's team right now looks better with his projection than what it actually is. This could be a closer matchup. There's just a lot of the things that need to shake out. We need to see what happens. Like what's gonna happen with Dingletary now that Naeem Hines isn't there. Um,
I'm saying
and
anybody that hasn't played Crab Bag yet, like I'd be sweating every week because you don't want to be that first W for Crab Bag.
oh God, yeah, I got him next week, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are on bye, even though Chase isn't playing. But I just, it's just like it feels like a trap game. Every week against crab bags like a trap game.
It's funny.
But yeah, I think Tron takes it. I think the matchup will be closer than we think. Um, he's just, it's gonna really be dependent on Kamara. I think just going out there and hogging out.
Yeah,
But yeah, deal didn't get it done. Um, Last but not least for you, my boy, you got me versus Gobby.
yeah. And this one, you've been on a tear recently, but Gobby's also been doing pretty decent himself. Um, but I think this week, yeah, you got CD Lamb, you got CMC on bye, and just a lot of people are questionable. Like, there's a strong possibility that half your lineup like doesn't even play. So, um, I just think
Well, we're
you
playing.
know,
We're playing.
Gabi's just missing that Ayukin, and I think you also have really tough matchups this whole week. And so I think this is one of those weeks that you fall back a little bit further down. And Gabi continues. He gets another dub, so he goes to a 4 win streak. Yeah, it just has to do with like it has a combination of injuries, bye weeks, and your matchup. So I think this week is you lose your winning streak.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't thinking. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna lose. I'm going on sending out a prayer to the fantasy gods that Terrace Marshall catches a touchdown or something. Rondale repeats. On the other end of it, it's just ever since Gobby's had DeAndre Hopkins back. I mean, the dude just stepped in and just became a wide receiver one immediately. I mean, there was no rust or anything. Maybe those
uh,
PEDs just really paid off for him.
just a, just a massive amount of targets every single game. They're just force feeding him the ball.
Yeah, I know it. The only way I see it, kind of, what I'm banking on is like Dubs does nothing, Brian Robinson does nothing, Joe Mixon. I don't know what the hell's been going on with him. Dude's had the most amount of. He's had 19 carries within the 10-yard line, and has put up like no touchdowns. So I don't really. He has the most in the NFL. He just looks like shit this year.
Yeah,
But
Sleepy Joe.
Shoeless Joe Jackson, man. He's got those wide receivers just going hard. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, got Gobby on there. Good thing you
Tough
haven't.
week, tough week.
Yeah, it is a tough week. Hey,
So
but at
let's move.
least CMC isn't getting injured because he's not playing.
Well, that's true. Next week he can put up his trifecta again, but this week he needs a little rest.
Exactly.
So now we go into your last matchup, which is going to be myself versus B Johns. So battle of the 6 and 2s.
Yeah. So we got to the well, and this is where I think B John's starts to slide. Oh, I guess he did last week. Um, but it continues. So problem is that Jonathan Taylor, again, we already talked about before, but dude's just been a huge bust so far this year. And he's still got that banged up ankle. I mean, he hasn't been practicing. We got Cooper Kupp, who's got the banged up ankle right now. He's supposed to play, but we'll see what actually happens. And then Gus Edwards with the hamstring right now. I don't even know if he's going to play. So, you'd have to be banking on Nyheim Hines going out there and doing something. Brandon Cooks is also injured as well. There's just a lot of things right now that are questionable on his team. But you're on the up and coming right now, bud. I mean, it's hard to argue against Ramondre, Eckler, Higgins, Diggs.
Yeah, I would say I'm lucky enough. This is when the depth comes into play, right? Is the last 2 weeks, right? Diggs was on bye, and then Eckler was on bye, and I was lucky enough to throw somebody in there at least that could, cover my ass during that time. So, glad to have the. This is the group of the boys right here. This is the team that's going to carry me on through the year.
Yeah, I think once you get James Conner back, I mean, this is the squad, right? So if anything, like I think you get the victory, right? It's just it would be real interesting to see how your team performs when you have all your hogs out there. Because if you're going to be that true number one seed, I mean, this is like what we're going to be seeing in the playoffs. So, uh,
I
yeah,
say this is the week. If B. Johns takes the L, he slides down at least 3 spots.
I mean, I don't see how you don't unless some of you guys absolutely shit the bed because T. Higgins should be out there hogging out, with Jamar being injured still. Ramondre doing his thing, Eckler. I mean, Diggs, obviously. Yeah, it'll be B. John's been talking all this shit all year long. And it's just funny how much shit that he talks when his team barely puts up, 90 points a game? Not even that.
Yeah, it's pretty low. Yeah, it's kind of tough to talk that shit when you really don't have anything to back it up with.
And again, it goes back to those points for, right? I mean, if I go look at the standings, B. Johns is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ninth in points for. I mean, the only teams that aren't besides what C or Tanner that have,
Yeah.
I mean, even Calvin, Calvin has more points for. It's just the regression is due. It's finally here. We're all here
Yes,
for
I
it.
agree. So, but the final matchup we have is the one that we choose together, which is going to be Cleaner versus Diz this week. And I think we talked about it back and forth, but I think we came with a consensus that we're going with Cleaner on this one.
Yeah, it was a tough one to pick. I, the Devontae Adams thing is not that trade right now isn't really helping out.
It couldn't have came at a worse time for
Yeah, I mean,
Diz.
honestly, um,
Like make that trade next week, right? Like
yeah,
even though
literally.
I don't know if you still do it, but like make that trade next week because you literally just you brought in Tony Pollard to be that extra. He's already on bye.
Yeah, and yeah, Pittman right now playing against New England. If you know anything, Bill Belichick's going to be trying to take away. Well, I mean, they're playing against Sam Ellinger. I was actually listening on this podcast that it's always usually better for rookie QB for his first game. Usually performs a little bit better because nobody really has tape on him. But their second game, they usually shit the bed really hard because you have something to like reference now. And
And
you're
there was
talking
not
about,
much good going on that first week.
well, yeah, I mean, it really wasn't good anyways. But you get Bill Belichick a little bit of tape to study on you. Like I feel like they're just gonna get doo-dooed on.
Like I said, the only thing they're looking at is his freaking hips and ass. I still can't get over that. That was like the only thing they talked about with Sam Ellinger. Like, we're excited for him. He's got the hips and ass of a horse. And I was just like, I don't get what this means. Like, does that mean he could throw the ball?
Maybe
But
you just take a sack
yeah,
off.
when we look at this, right? Mahomes is back, Travis Kelsey's back, Josh Jacobs. You don't expect him to have the game he did last week, and he's going against like a bottom five rushing defense with Jacksonville. So you expect him to have a good game. It's just I don't know where the points are coming from. Like Derek Carr looked like absolute dog shit last week.
Yeah, yeah, I think this is gonna be one of those matchups that's gonna come down to like Battle of the Hogs, right? I don't think any of the role players are gonna do much. I think it's just gonna have to come down to like Derrick Henry versus Travis Kelsey kind of thing. Can Miles Sanders keep pace with like a Josh Jacobs? Probably not, but who knows? But I mean, the edge where I give it to Cleaner is just Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
And Josh Palmer too. Josh Palmer, I mean, again, Keenan Allen doesn't play. Like, who the hell are they throwing the ball to? One of those wide receivers got to catch it out there.
Well, Eckler will get his 8 to 10 targets. So,
well, that'll help out
so
all
yeah.
these guys.
But if we look at this, if our projections are correct and Cleaner wins, Jaden wins, who would it be Trone? No. So if Cleaner wins, Jaden wins. Oh yeah, and Gobby wins. Then that means, and then B Johns loses, he falls down to the 5th seed. So this man goes from zero boner B Johns at that point. Like there's nothing there.
He's transitioning at that point.
At that point, yeah, they say it's inverted.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, that's the thing. After this week, I mean, depending on these shake out, it's like there's gonna be a lot of movement this week. These standings are gonna completely flip, I feel like.
Well, yeah, and then you look at B Johns, and then next week he plays the deal den with like zero people on bye essentially.
Yeah.
So there's a strong possibility this man moves down pretty quick.
Well, same with Derek Carr too. If he goes to 5-4, Jesse, did we pick? Or no, Jesse is losing, right? So 4-5, but Pay would surpass him. I mean, there's some teams that are like either gonna get real close to getting bumped all the way out of the playoff standings, or at least down to that bottom part where they're gonna be picked to that flex seating.
Yeah.
So a little housekeeping too for our records. Still leading the way here, so I'm at 20-4. My picks, pretty good.
Giving you all the easy matchups, I think.
Yeah, bullshit. 16-8, so you're not far behind, and together we're 3-4. So together we're getting pretty close to that 500. Weird how the tough ones are always, toughest.
That's a weird concept to go by. In life, the toughest things are tough.
Let's talk about trades a little bit. So you and Nutt been doing the dance last week with the tight ends there. My God. So
I think he's the only person that values a tight end anymore. So
yeah, that's just trying to scrounge up any move he can make. He's just itching for moves out there.
Oh yeah, brother.
So Nutt got Garrett Wilson, $20 in fab and $3 draft dollars, and you receive Zach Ertz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I just feel like that. I feel like the Cardinals' offense is getting, they're finding their rhythm more, right? They're scoring more points, and Zach Ertz last year wasn't like his best year, but the dude got a lot of targets. And one thing I keep talking about is I look at playoff matchups. Like he has one of the better matchups in the league when it comes to tight ends. So, I like, I have my Lord and Savior Taysom Hill, but I wanted somebody that I can plug in there every single week. And I know that he's going to get at least 5 points per game. And that's right around league average. And typically, DeAndre Hopkins sooner or later is going to drop more more coverage. So hopefully Ertz gets a little bit more, a little bit, they get a little lackadaisy in the middle, and that'll help out with Ertz. So I wasn't hurting on that, and Garrett Wilson wasn't. I Garrett Wilson is so good, and he has such a good keeper value, but and that was the only reason I hung on to him for so long. But Zach Wilson is just so bad, and I was like, it's time. I just needed a tight end that I can rely on. Like if like say James Winston comes back, Taysom Hill will probably lose a lot of his efficiency because they won't be running the same style of plays and everything like that with him there.
Yeah, I thought the trade was fine. Garrett Wilson, keeper value, maybe no was looking at that.
We probably know that it's probably going to be either Olave or ETN that he keeps.
Well, ETN was kept this year, I believe.
But it wasn't very much, I don't believe, right?
I can't remember. I was trying to actually look at it. Sleeper wouldn't tell me. I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know.
if not, it'd be Olave. But yeah,
I say Olave is only
this
20
is when
bucks.
before Dr. Schultz actually showed out, so it made sense for you to do that trade. It's a whatever trade to me. Next one though is cousin on cousin action. So Calvin received Davante Adams and $7 in draft cash. Tanner received Evan Ingram, Tony Pollard, Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I think Nut kind of dove into this one pretty hard. It was actually funny because the night that we had the Halloween party, I was in the same room with Dizzle and Calvin, and they were like talking. Calvin was like giving him like trading advice, and I verbatim told Diz, I said, "Don't let Calvin get in your ear about this." Like some of the things he's saying make sense, but I was like, "Don't let him swindle you." And the next day, it was or like I think it was like 2 days later or something like that. He does this, and yeah, I don't see what was going on here. Like, how do you give up the best player in the respective trade plus draft cash? I still don't understand that. Like, we know Calvin values his players, but like, come on, it's Devonte Adams. Like, you can't tell me that he's let alone not worth all three of these players.
Right. I think it honestly came down to roster construction, right? I think Tanner was desperate to get some more depth on his team, which he did. I'm not going to argue it. And it's like Tony Pollard is one of those players that needs like 5 touches a game, and the dude's probably going to rip one of those off for like a 40-yard touchdown or something. Do you want to bank on that? No, but I think he's at least a good flex play. He's better than some of the flex plays I've seen out there. I love my boy Michael Pittman. I drafted him, but just as we said with
Quarterback,
ETN,
yeah,
he's getting tossed around like a used condom. It's crazy, and he's like been busted in a bunch of times. Yeah, Sam Ellinger though, God, man, it's just like it's such a waste. It's a shame to see that
I
sort
don't,
of talent.
I don't, I don't. This is the one thing that I look at it when I look at when I look at Diz's team and I think about this, I'm like, okay, you have Dak Prescott, like sell high, right? The dude comes off a great game. Do you want to keep him? Well, like one way I would look at it though is you had Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. You had a nice stack there. Unless you don't believe in Derek Carr, then that's the only reason you keep Dak. But like, I don't know. You could definitely probably trade Derek Carr to somebody. Like shit. Like freaking people were just fighting over freaking Aaron Rodgers. And
Yeah,
I think this year we'd probably take Derek Carr over Aaron Rodgers based off of the weapons that Derek Carr has. But then also, you need a tight end or something like your boy right here had three tight ends, and I take probably all three of them over Evan Ingram, just based off of the efficiency that Dalton Schultz has with Dak and everything like that. So I just think there was like ways he could have picked up these players. Like Njoku's injured, so you want to get a tight end. Okay, well, there's plenty of people out here that need a freaking QB. Like there's quite a few teams out here that don't have a top talent QB, and they could use one. I'm sure they wouldn't mind giving up a tight end on their team to get one.
yeah.
Um, and then I don't know, like Devonte Adams is just like doesn't matter if he had one bad game or two bad games in a row. Like if that was Stephon Diggs, I'm not selling Stephon Diggs for that. Like
Yeah.
I know what he's capable of. Like he could make or break a week for you.
Yeah, and with Devontae, he's been a bit boomer bust this year. But the thing is with Devontae, it's like when he booms, I mean, he'll boom the hardest of anybody in the league compared to the wide receivers. Like his ceiling is so high for him, and his floor is higher than most. So it's hard to justify. And the fact that he threw $7 in draft cash in with it too, it felt like a desperation play. I was talking to Tanner afterwards, and I'm like, I could see where his mindset was a little bit and just trying to fill out the rest of his roster. But again, I feel like if you were going to sell Devontae Adams, I feel like you could have got a better haul out of it.
And you shouldn't have to pay any draft cash to the person that's getting that player too.
Right.
That's the one thing. It's like, where is the $7? Like, why
It's a
are you paying somebody to take your best player?
it's a classic Cal buys low on a better player and sold high after Pollard had an amazing game. Evan Ingram had a good game. Pittman was so, but the rooks in our league, man, learning lessons. Welcome DVFFL, boys.
Yeah,
Now you're gonna watch yourselves crumble and fall out of the playoffs. Perfect.
great initiation.
Yeah. And then last couple ones here. Nut gets Dalton Schultz, $7 in fab from you. You get Deontay Johnson. Again, it was pretty good. I thought
Yeah,
it was good. Deontay Johnson, no more Chase Claypool. Should get more targets. And
yeah. I say he's already a target hog. My thought process with this was, I believe one of my weeks I have T Higgins and Jerry Judy on. No, I think I have T Higgins out one week. And oh, I think it's T Higgins, and I think that it might be the Patriots in the same bye. So for me, Deontay Johnson is just kind of a fill in for one of those bye weeks if I have to. Also it could be part of a trade piece that I could work out later on. It's more name value and things like that. But Kenny Pickett's been slinging the rock recently, and I'm hoping Deontay can actually pick up a little bit of slack. I drafted him for that reason. Like the dude gets so many targets. I'm like, he has to find the end zone, like sooner or later. Like, like I don't even understand how you could have so many targets with zero touchdowns.
yeah, they've also been playing some pretty hard teams lately, like good defenses. So you got to think maybe they'll have some positive regression at some point.
Yeah,
Dr. Schultz too. I mean, for Nuts side of it, I think as much as I hate on the man, dude's starting to get healthy. Dak's back. Dak loves hitting him, so it's a good move.
and so
Uh,
yeah, Dalton Schultz was, I don't think people understand. Like last year, dude was the third ranked tight end, and he had an astronomical amount of targets, like almost 100 catches just from Dak throwing the ball. 3 games that he's had this year, he's averaged over 7 targets a game from Dak, and he's averaging at least 6 fantasy points per game, which is higher than like the majority of the league here. So I don't, like that was the one thing I didn't understand was like, you know, Calvin, good luck with trading Dalton Schultz. I'm like, Dak, like from a Cowboys perspective, you should see and you should know that when Dak plays, he likes to get the ball to Dalton Schultz. When Cooper Rush was playing, it was like he wasn't even a thing, but also he was injured at the same time. But, like you said, he's back and healthy. And for Nut, I think it was good for him. He needed a tight end and there was nothing on the free agency. So I was like, Deontay, he has the upside, he has the targets. It was real even for me. The fab, I'm not really too worried about. I'm not really going out there and splurging on anybody in the free agency, regardless, anyway. So
it's kind of interesting to me this year that there's so many teams out there that have multiple tight ends on their um, rosters. I mean, tight ends is such a wasteland, so it's like everybody's just trying to get them and like pray that one of them does something.
yeah,
It's tough out there. And then last we have Nut again. That's been a very busy boy. So we got $4 in draft cash, $3 in fab. Traded Captain Kirk Cousins. Um,
Captain Kirk.
yeah, I mean, not much to say on it. Toronto needs a QB, and he has the extra cash to be able to go out there and do something like that. So, had to make a move. About time we got rid of that Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Trevor Lawrence, the toss up between the two was like it didn't really matter. Like you were getting 16, 17 points from either one of them. So if you're lucky, So I think Kirk Cousins is just more reliable of a player. So I think for Trone
Yeah.
it was, and the dude just has a, you know, just from cleaner giving him all that money, it's like whatever, $4. Like the dude spent like over like $60 in draft cash this year already. So
Yeah. Thanks, Alec. We're back to it. The ripple effect, man. The ripple effect. Um,
hmm
and Kirk Cousins has T.J. Hawkinson now too. I mean, I think he's just gonna boost his value up even more.
Well, yeah, and for he just fuck it, let's get to 250.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly.
yeah, you got Justin Fields. Justin Fields it looks like they finally figured out how to actually use the man, so that's good. And you look at their playoff schedules between the two of them; they're pretty similar in difficulty. So it's like which one you take. Kirk Cousins always has that safe floor, but Justin Fields has just a high ceiling with them.
Yeah, I would say out of all the teams that are selling and thinking about fending off that Sacco so they can keep their draft cash, I feel pretty confident in Nuts' team to be able to hold on to that money for him.
hmm
And kudos to him. I mean, he keeps making trades and he's gotten to himself to a spot where I think he feels pretty secure.
Well, also one thing to kind of keep in mind, these people don't want to trade like their best players, like this, let's take example, the CODs of the world, or, you know, like that would be the one that always comes to my mind because fuck COD, but like, Nut trade CD Lamb off for Brees Hall, who everybody kind of at the beginning of the year was like, whatever. And then Brees Hall came out and did his thing, but he gave up the best player in that trade. It's like COD could do the same thing, right? Like give up Nick
No,
Chubb and pick up like
Nut got CD Lamb and Brees Hall.
who did he trade?
Um, AJ Dillon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah, man, imagine Jaden's team if he would have just held on to those boys.
yeah, yeah. Never mind. My point is completely out the window, and now I think to myself, like, how the fuck did that even happen?
I mean, that was so early on, and Nuts hyping up AJ Dillon be like top 15 running back and and his bold predicted. And then I was right when Dak got injured. Nobody really knew what was happening with him. And obviously, it was before Brees Hall really started teaching.
Hmm.
Yeah, isn't that one that we can't forget either?
Yeah. Well, COD should still try to trade Nick Chubb.
I mean, yeah. So actually, that's a nice little segue. So we don't have any fancy segment, but with the trade deadline coming up, let's just talk about some things that we think might happen, right? And so there's always that point in the year where you look at your record and you kind of have to decide if you're going to blow up the squad or you're going to ride with them. And so looking at who we're predicting, right, to win this week, who's going to lose. Okay, my prediction, and it should come to no surprise, is that after this week, COD loses, dropping him down to 4-5. He doesn't have the points for, definitely doesn't have the squad to be able to carry him to a championship. So I think it's about that time again, COD, to start opening up that wallet and collecting your money and get the liquidating. Hit the T bell, get some extra Diablo sauce on there, and liquidate that Chubb. I just
No,
don't see I don't see how he doesn't. I mean, he's got to be thinking it. It's the same song and dance. COD never learns from his past years on how to manage his team, and he's gonna be looking down the barrel of the Sacco tournament again.
Oh gosh, it's like clockwork.
It really is. It's a harsh reality for COD, but here we are. And the problem is, if he doesn't sell, I still don't think he has the team to be able to even. I mean, he could still end up with a Sacco even if he didn't sell. Yeah, maybe Nick Chubb takes him away from it, but the rest of his team, like, where's the depth that's gonna help him out here? Najee, dude, Jalen Warren looks like the running back that you should have. Najee looks like you should be picking him up off the waivers.
Yeah, I think maybe this is the year that finally COD realizes I'm not going to draft Najee ever again. Or not like to not think about always getting Najee or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Steelers.
Like, or Steelers in general, because the man drafted him for $65 this year. And what, the dude's the 28th ranked running back, and he's had 2 games over 10 points.
I mean, there's a reason why COD's name is King Sacco. He rules that domain. Nobody's taking that
Yeah.
title from him. That is COD's to own. So it's got to be not Najee. It's got to be Chubb. He's gonna have to liquidate Chubb, but not only for draft cash. The dude's gonna have to get some players in return. He's got to
Uh,
round out this roster. If he doesn't, I fear that he, because I mean, you stack him up against, say crap bag, right? Yeah, we shit on crap bag, no pun intended. But it's like if I stuck the way Kamara's been playing right now, I feel like he could go toe to toe with Chubb, but at least crap bag has some pieces that could, do something else to help pull his team up. Kyler Murray hasn't been the answer. Dude, the wide receiving core is god awful. I still don't know how he's got the record he's got. Claypool going to the Bears doesn't mean shit. He's still gonna be boo boo. Chase Edmonds, yeah, cool. We got traded the Broncos right into the black hole. Let's ride. Let's ride ourselves down into the grave.
yeah, I say, and the one thing that I don't know, like even like what, like Geno Smith versus Kyler Murray. Like Kyler Murray's like literally one spot ranked ahead of Geno Smith, and Geno Smith has been like, like Geno Smith has 3 interceptions on the year and like 12 touchdowns or something like that. Kyler Murray, this man's thrown double the amount of interceptions and has less touchdowns than him this year. And I don't know, like yeah, you look at it. Also, Garrett has 2 very good defenses. COD's been playing the defensive waiver wire. It's just there's a lot of bad things going for COD at this point, and I don't know. He just doesn't make moves that would make sense to keep him out of the consolation bracket every year.
Yeah, I just see it happening because he's gonna lose to Calvin this week, and he's gonna be facing that decision right before the trade deadline once again. What do I do? And you know what to do, my boy. Liquidate.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think,
you know how to do it. You're good at it.
and I think one of the predictions I'm going to have is just going to be there's certain, there's people out here, and I'm speaking on just essentially Scheimer and Garrett, this just max out your draft cash. Like, who cares? Oh, I like staying at 247. Why? Why stay at 247? If you don't max out your draft cash and get some players in return, there's a possibility that you're just going to lose it anyways because you're going to take the Sacco. Get as much as you can so you don't start out with like less. Like, if you start out 225, that's better than starting out with 222 or 223 or whatever it's going to be.
$1
Just
big
max it
difference.
out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know Brian giving that Tyreek away. and getting $20. I just don't see. I don't. There's certain things like the trade with Trone and Alec, where it's $36 in draft cash, and then this last one with Devontae Adams and $7 in draft cash. I don't understand how Tyreek Hill didn't just basically max out with Shimer. Like, I know there was plenty of people. I know myself. I was willing to give $31 in draft cash. So it was like just max it out. Like if you're gonna get rid of these hogs, just go full board. Don't go like halfway in it. Don't just put the tip in. Like just balls deep, baby. Like just get all in there.
Do you think they max out for the trade deadline?
I wouldn't see any reason why they wouldn't. Like Shimer, the way he's gonna max out is probably just by getting rid of Damian Pierce. Like maybe he could do like the Juju. Maybe somebody will pay a little bit for Juju. Maybe somebody will pay a little bit for Gabe Davis. But those are really hit and miss type guys right there. Boomer bust guys, really. Um, you know, I don't really know. But then at that point, right, you're just losing depth at that point.
Yeah.
So I think Garrett should max out. I don't know how he hasn't still. He only has $3 left.
Yeah. You think it would be real easy for both of them to max it out, especially Brian. Brian's got plenty of pieces. I feel like he could just sell off. I mean, shit. Maybe even just sell off a guy.
I think Garrett has like three players that he could probably do it with.
Yeah, at least
I don't think he'll
$3.
I don't think he'll part way with Kamara just because if he doesn't have Kamara on his team, then he's probably going straight to Sacco and because like I don't know. I think those two will max out. I just don't know how they're going to get there at that point, depending on what they decide to do here.
Yeah. If Garrett gets rid of Kamara, he's almost guaranteed Sacco. I think
Unless
he
you get
might.
somebody in return that can actually like somewhat keep him
Well,
afloat
and there's
still.
ways to do it, right? It's like it doesn't have to be a huge haul of draft cash. If you get it back some like decent players, a couple guys you could throw in there to round out your roster and everything, and then you tack on the $3 extra or the $11 extra or whatever it is. There's ways you can finagle it. I think that's why part of the problem is everybody's so hyper focused on the draft cash, and it's weird how it's been used this year. You look at the Devontae Adams trade, like you throw $7 in there, it's like, well, I guess that one's a little bit different because I don't, why is Tanner the one paying to get rid of the best player? But go back to the Alec and Pate trade. Um, why $36? Like, I mean, it's such a huge amount. I don't know for the haul that you like what you're giving away. Could have just been more
Yeah,
about
it's
could have been more about the players rather than the actual cash itself.
both of those trades that you're talking about. It's weird because like I thought at the beginning of the year it was kind of like, okay, Shimer did the first trade and everybody was like, that was enough draft cash. And then everybody started making these trades with draft cash, would made sense. And we're like, okay, now people are valued higher and people are getting more draft cash for it. And it's getting used in like the expected way. Or like somebody that's receiving the better player is getting paid, or receiving the better end of the deal, right? Is paying cash to that person that's giving away the better part of the deal. And then you talk about Alec and then you talk about Dizzle, they're like giving draft cash away as well as giving what the consensus of the league would think would be a better part of the deal. So
Yeah,
now it's like going backwards.
yeah, it's odd. There's no like it's like we can't figure out the happy medium there. It's like it's gonna go the traditional way of it, but we shit on the Brian for not getting enough draft cash, and then even though actually yeah no I mean that deal too. God, a lot of deals this year that I'm just like questioning. I mean, we question deals every year, right? We shit on people for making their trades, but I feel like this year especially, there's just been some real jaw-dropping ones.
Like
And
literally, like Dizzle was like, "Take Devonte Adams, just take him from me, please." Like that's what draft cash kind of is, right? Is like draft cash is when somebody offers the draft cash and they're getting a better player from the other person that's receiving the draft cash. You're like, give him to me, right? Like give him give that player to me. Like Saquon, here's $15 in draft cash, just give them to me. And now we're seeing people be like, here's the better part of the deal. Take it. I don't want it, and I'm gonna sweeten the pot for you too.
uh, I know.
What a weird year of fantasy.
It has been a very weird year.
Like
Yeah,
if we think
I
about it, draft cash has been like exponentially used. We have the two highest winning percentage teams, or the highest winning teams in the league, at the bottom for the majority of the year, and they're still down there. And then we had a freaking number one seed that's been on there, and he was undefeated, scoring less than 90 points a game. Like, there's just a lot of weird things that have been going on.
yeah, very much so, man. A lot of change in the guard too, as far as players out there. QB situations, like a lot of QBs that I mean, yeah, you have Josh Allen's, Patty Mahomes, Lamar, but like Rodgers, Brady, big complete dog shit.
Russell Wilson, who I'm still
Russell
hanging on to,
Wilson.
and I literally just can't let him go for some reason. It's like
Let's
fucking like
ride.
God. It's like I don't know, it like makes me crazy. I'm like every week I'm like I could think I could drop him, and then I just look at his schedule. I'm like, here's a good schedule coming up, and I just hold on to him, just praying that he gets on that horse.
Yeah, this week though, I think is gonna be the most important week so far of the season. Just based off of where we're at right before the trade deadline. This is one of the most competitive years we've ever had. And it's gonna dictate a lot of people's decisions as far as what they want to do. We're gonna find out like who's actually ready to ride and who's gonna be battling out for that Sacco. I like to think I have
Yeah.
some ideas, but the weeks have been kind of weird, you know? And so it's hard to like really pinpoint it. But after this week, there's gonna be a lot of clarity, I feel like.
Yeah, there's also been a lot of players that have been injured on people's teams, and also I think with there's been a decent amount of trades this year, and the amount of players that have been shifted around from squad to squad. Like we talked about the Michael Pittmans and Travis Etienne's, like just shifting back and forth and things like that. You know, um, it's you know, it's there's been a lot of weird construction when it comes to like teams. Like typically, you see these teams that always have like these two really good running backs, two really good wide receivers, blah 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 blah. And I feel like each and every week, like myself this week, like I'm like, I'm gonna have James Conner, so I was throwing fucking Mecole Hardman, like for you, oh Terrace Marshall, or whoever the fuck Brian's gonna throw in a tight end this week, like who who knows,
Dude,
you
who's
know?
season he gonna put in for that running back too? I need to
Yeah,
know because there's not shit on the waiver. I'm looking at it right now. There is nothing out there. Jarek
what's he gonna
McKinnon,
like? That's his best bet, right? Like he'll put up at least like 3 points.
not if I swoop him first.
So he's got no
Dude,
fucking
he can't do
fab.
shit
So
about it either, dude. That's the beauty of it.
this man could be this man could be starting like the third string on any given team at this point. Like
Oh
you look at
man.
this third string, J.D. McKissick, third string Travis Homer, third string, you know, Malcolm Brown, third string Craig Reynolds. They're all third stringers. I guess fucking Rex Burkhead, but the dude's literally not even on the field for like 10 plays a game.
Oh, it's too good, man. It's too good.
Uh,
Oh,
we shall see though.
we shall see. All right. Well, I guess that kind of wraps it up for us, boys. Good week. It's gonna be a real interesting one this week. See what happens. Um, my phones are always open, man. Hit me up, brothers.
Yeah,
Trying to get some trades in before that deadline. I got
I've
a
been
little bit
reaching out
extra
quite a
cash
bit.
to spend.
Yeah, I'm definitely reaching out, so everybody knows.
Yeah. Um, anyways, Shout out to the Podley as always. Gobby Talks. It's been good stuff, man. Keep it up. Enjoy the shit talking out of it. And yeah, good luck to everybody except Gobby this week.
Yeah, same to B Johns. I can't wait to knock him down.
Yeah, get that boner. Oh wait, we said there is no more boner.
It's inverted.
Yeah.
It's like a turtle and shell.
Turtle.
All right, well, I think that's it. But yeah, week 9, do or die.
Do or die. Trade deadline. Let's go. All right, boys. We'll catch you next week.
Later.